Hello, guys, and welcome once again to this other live stream. Let's get straight into it. Interesting movements for sure these days on crypto, on Bitcoin in general, which seems to not have a direction, to be honest. Let me just make sure that everything works here. Just a second. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. Interesting. So, yeah, as you can see, we're currently having a small pump from this low here at 66.2. Pretty random low. To be honest, I was waiting for 65.8. I've talked about this level in the past. And I'll explain why I think we are pumping in a second. But let's also take a look at what happened yesterday. So, yesterday we had this nice trade from the anchor VWAP, tap of the anchor VWAP. Nice reaction. I took an aggressive trade thinking that we would fake out this triangle. So from there, took the long. We had a nice reaction at first. We then rejected off of this Fibonacci level, as you can see. From there, it was just a down movement. We took profit different times. I took profit, I believe, around 69.4. It was like 25%. Then I took some more profit here, another 15%. So 50% of the trade was closed, and then I told to the Discord to manage risk accordingly and to move up your stop losses so that you would end up with profit. And as you can see, the position right here was this one. This was up actually $1,000. I was hoping for more of a push, which is why I gave myself more space, which is fine. I mean, it's still a profitable trade, as you can see, $400. And yeah. So it was up 1K, but again, I was really hoping to see that push up to 70,000, and I would have closed a little bit more, but I had to give up on some profit, unfortunately. I also then did take another trade right here, which initially had a nice reaction. It was off of, once again, the retest of the triangle. So yeah, I took a long here. I was making like $200. I took 25%, and then I got stopped out on the rest. And yeah, that was it. So it seems like at this point we lost the triangle. Very, very unfortunate, because I was really expecting that move up to 70,800, but we don't always get what we want. So what is happening now? I believe this pump is caused from a simple fake out of this low right here, which we were also looking at in one of the other streams. So very simple. We trade below it for some time. Once you reclaim, you expect technically a full reversal to the other side of the range, which comes at around 72,000. Do I think that it's going to get to 72,000? I don't really think so, for now at least. As you can see, this is still very weak. I can delete all of these now. Let's get rid of the channel as well. It seems like we're just running into resistance at this point of this anchor VWAP, value area low, retest of the break of the triangle. So to be honest, something intraday like a scalp short, for example, that we could look at today is something like this, right? Retesting this anchor VWAP, maybe even the point of control, backtesting the triangle, and then moving back down, either down to this negative point of control where we can look eventually for a long, which I'll explain, or a little bit deeper for 64,000, or perhaps even new lows, because do keep in mind that new lows are still the most probable outcome so far. So yeah, this could be interesting. I'm definitely gonna see if we can get some sort of reaction here during New York Open, because do keep in mind that the structure right here is still bearish, and we would still keep those lower lows and lower highs. So yeah, this is definitely gonna be an interesting point. Let's see if we have some other anchor VWAPs. Another anchor VWAP tap right here. We could also just reject here. You can see anchor VWAP from this high, value area low. So, you know, we don't have to go all the way up there. This is already a pretty nice area. Let's check order flow together. So there you have it. See what is going on. So this is clearly a short squeeze. Right here we had some short stuck, but nothing crazy, around 4 million, as you can see at the bottom. Then we took the low once more. Okay. 6 million shorts opening here as well, but that was way more up. So yeah, makes sense that we're pumping now off of that fake out. Seems very, very weak though. It's just off of the shorts squeezing from down here. So I don't think this has much fuel to, sorry, let me switch back up to the other chart. So yeah, I don't really think this has much fuel to go much higher than right here. And as I said, we could honestly just reject from here. This is pretty good. I just like to see the high or the low being put in during New York. Isn't the low the val from the 5th of September? I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry. Yeah, the low is here. It's from the 6th of February. If you could repeat your question, because I'm not so sure. Are you referring like taking this? Like that? Bros, I would like to ask you to look at Pengu Link XRP. We'll take a look at that later. Also these we'll take a look at later. I use the VWAP but gives me different level. You using a basic or you modified it? I'm using Anchor VWAPs. So let's see. I mean, we could technically also take these as more pivots, and we technically already ran into the triangle. So then we have the back test of the triangle. We have the Anchor VWAP. We have the value area low right here. But yeah, overall, you know, it could be here or it could be a little bit higher. To be honest, I kind of like this level. But now I think it's a little bit too late. If you wanted to trade it aggressively on the first touch, it would have been up here at 68.4. Now at 67.9, it's not optimal. So anyways, that's it. For a higher time frame level, what I'm looking at is this. Let me clean this up. So as you can see, from, what was it, this to here, this major high right here, we ran straight into the 618. So we can start our harmonic pattern from here to here. We could look for a potential C point there to then take this, for example, up here. This is one of the ideas, right? Which would work out, or perhaps even higher would be even better. But yeah, optimally it's gonna be around here. To be honest, something like that. So we could look for another low to be put in, and then potentially, here's the complicated part. Right here, we have the naked point of control. Down here, we have the Fibonacci level. And if I'm not wrong, we also have a horizontal level. There it is, right here, this daily level. So it's a bit tough because you have a big area of support. So I think here you have to go level by level. If you get a lower time frame type of reaction, then we can look for that swing long. I mean, you have two ways of playing it. Either you can, you know, start setting orders here, like 0.1 BTC here, 0.1 here, 0.1 here, 0.1 here, and then you end up with a swing trade from here, looking for up here, for example, or, you know, even all the way up to 80,000 with the stop loss below the low. And that way you have one single trade. Or the other option is that you wait for a lower time frame setup each time at each level. So if we're looking for this point C to be put in here, you know, we might start ranging. We get that entry trigger here, and you look for that long trade with smaller invalidation, and that can be your trade. And then, you know, this could be stopped out, and perhaps we go and put in the point C a little bit lower, for example here, and we can take a second trade. You do gotta keep in mind that like some of these levels you will take losses on, and you have to understand that as a trader, that it can take more than one try before you get your profitable trade, which runs and makes up for all the losses that you took. So honestly, I will be interested if I get the right triggers to take maybe even up to 3 trades, because I could look for something like this here as well. And then, you know, if at this point, if this fails, then we know that this harmonic pattern is not valid anymore, and then I would be looking for these much lower levels, 57,000, and then we do have a little bit lower this weekly, and so in that case we can be looking at 54,000 to 58,000, and then from there, of course, if we get that bullish reaction, we can take our long trade, and if we don't, that's where, as I've talked about, we would expect much lower towards $30,000. So if we get acceptance down here, I would be expecting for something like this. Okay, that's pretty much it. This would still fit with another type of harmonic, where you come all the way down here and then you look for something like this. This is still valid. We just have to understand which type of, well, it's not even understanding, it's just waiting, being patient and understanding which one is going to play out. But yeah, so I do think we can be close to a bottom. If we're going to have a bottom, it's going to be around this area here. But once again, this has to be the bouncing point. Otherwise, we're going much lower, like much lower. Anyways, we have market open in 3 minutes. So let's see what that brings us. I hope the plan is pretty clear. It's not too hard. Let's get rid of these. Let's get rid of that. So yeah, this is going to be my area of interest for today. If we can get here today, perhaps we can get that trade. Then let's move on to, let's quickly check the stock market, which as usual is bullish. We've been talking about this, nothing bearish still, keeping, you know, bullish outlook, which really sucks because, you know, stock market is pushing. Gold, you know, had a little bit, well, not a little bit, quite a big reversal and then pump, but Bitcoin is really just the only asset which just does not give a fuck about all the bullishness. I mean, it's insane that whilst everything is at all-time high, Bitcoin is trading, you know, 52% below its all-time high. So hopefully we can see some relief soon. But again, at this point, you guys can clearly see now on the weekly perspective, we've had that big change in market structure. This is no longer bullish, as you can see. Higher highs, higher highs. I mean, you can even see the really nice back test right there of this trend line that we had of just higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Lost it, back tested it, massive dump. So it's pretty tough. But yeah, hopefully we can get that nice fall down here, reversal. But then you do gotta keep in mind that on this reversal, we're gonna have to look for a short. So if we can get, for example, a pump back up to 100,000, that's where I'll be looking for something like this. And of course, we got to go level to level. If we start reclaiming some levels, you know, maybe we might get that all-time high. So yeah, it's a very complicated time for Bitcoin, for crypto in general. And you do have to have a very deep understanding of the market at the moment, I think, if you want to survive. Because things can change very quickly, but things can also get very bearish very quickly. And so we do have to keep that in mind, and we do have to be careful. So let's move on to actually, I want to check Ethereum BTC real quick. We are still at this area here. I mean, you can clearly see that we've lost compared to August. We have lost quite a bit, which is why the alts have been bleeding a lot. But, you know, maybe, no, that's monthly level is lost. To be honest, we do need to reclaim these levels right here. We need to stay above this area if you want to see some movements in altcoins. Otherwise, it's looking pretty bearish, to be honest. Okay, so now let's move on to the chat, whichever requests you guys have. Also, let me take a look at NEO. I am still holding this. I did take some profit, but I am still holding it. I think I'm about $3,000 in profit. And I'm still waiting for this level, which is starting to be even more interesting because the fact that it's taking more time, I think this might be the place where we reverse. You know, we have this high. If we go up there, tap into it, SFP, we can look for that full reversal. So I will definitely be taking another 25% profit once we reach there. And then if we get a bearish reaction, I'll just probably, I would like to take a short. It's just kind of hard to take a short on NEO. I don't really have the platform where to short it. Actually, I could just take it. I just have to deposit money and stuff, so it's just annoying. But yeah, I'm still waiting for that 525 for take profit, and you know, if I could, I would short it too if we got a nice reaction. Okay, so let's take a look at the tokens that you guys sent. I would like to ask you Pangu. Let's see, Pangu USDT.p. Right, I remember looking at this already, and I was saying like just wait for the fill of the wick. There's not much more you want to do here. It's gonna have to be down here. You set an alert, you see the reaction that you have. If you get a bullish reaction, you look for the fill of the wick and then for reversal, which you might not get. Keep in mind, this is really like a speculation, all these wick fills. But if they work half of the time, you can make some really nice money. For the rest, I mean, this is, as you can see, clearly super, super bearish. Oh, sorry, the fill of the wick was actually already here. It already happened. It was right there. And as you can see from there, you did fill it and you had a nice reaction. But that's all you gotta do. You just gotta trade this 25%, you take your profits, and then you get out. Because I wouldn't trade this, by the way. I thought it was the overall wick, but I was wrong. But I mean, yeah, this is just so weak. As you can see, it just keeps on losing. No strength whatsoever. So definitely not something I'm interested in. Let's see. What else? Link. I know Link is one that other members wanted to see as well. Oh, look at that. We already had that level on Link, which was off of the, I guess I gave this in one of the old ones, which was off of the fill of the wick and the point of control. And as you can see, literally perfect bounce. You can see that on the 30 minutes. Close of the candle right here. This was your trigger to go long. And this would have offered, I don't know why I didn't have an alert here. That sucks, because this would have been a great trade. And that would have given you that 1 to 4. But again, very weak bounce. No change in market structure. Nothing honestly bullish about this. Yeah, and to be honest, the short trades are way too far for me. There was one here, which as you can see, did not get that retest perfectly. But yeah, we were expecting that move down, which happened exactly like that. And we had a nice reaction of 26%. So already that was the trade. If you guys saw it in the other live streams, I hope you took it, because that was nice. And yeah, that's it for Link. Let's take a look now at XRP. XRP, same thing, fill up the wick. From there you had a 24% bounce. This we can delete. This trade never happened. And yeah, guys, unfortunately, those were the trades. I had been speaking about these for a while. These fill of the wicks, they were literally all the trades. And now there's no more trade, unfortunately. So all these tokens are now quite boring, to be honest, because I mean, you can try to, you know, trade the retest, something like that. But to be honest, I'm not so interested in this. But you know, if this is the low, then these retests will be nice to trade for higher. It's just very aggressive. Yeah, and you have no confluence, so you know, maybe you could try to trade this daily level, assuming that the low is in, with a, you know, something like this. But again, nothing great lining up here, and you could try to look for something like this. But again, not really my favorite option here. And there's definitely better things that we can look at. And it's very unfortunate because these wicks really did ruin most of these projects. There's really no setups. And again, the short levels are way higher, and I don't think we're gonna get there anytime soon. So no point even in looking at that. Now, hype is coming into my interesting level where I think we can be looking for a long trade. This time I did set my alerts, so I will make sure not to miss this. So we are clearly out of this range. We back tested it too. I would expect now, let's see, maybe we can get a reaction down at this low and we can just trade this as a range, right? We have range high, which has been taken, range low, onto this value area high. Could be interesting, you know, something like this, more for like a day trade, I would say. But optimally, I would expect something like this to then reverse more down. But yeah, my area honestly remains 25 to 24, and I will be interested in taking this trade. Let me check for more stuff. And by the way, look at Bitcoin having that rejection from that level that we were speaking about. I do think we're gonna go for new lows. So looking back, this was a pretty good level. It would have maintained also the lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So yeah, back testing that value area low. This tends to happen quite a lot. So yeah, maybe I should have just taken that short trade, but it's fine. I mean, I'm still in this short trade, by the way, guys. Oh, can't show you here. Anyways, I'm still in my Bybit short trade that you guys know about. What were we saying? We were looking at, hype. So yeah, if we get this monthly level and point of control, I will be interested here. If we get a nice reaction to trade this back up, and that's gonna come something like this, right? Okay, and of course we gotta keep in mind some take profits along the way, etc., but we'll look at these eventually if we get into this position. But yeah, definitely preferred outcome would be $25 and then a reversal. Let's take this a little bit more. Let's see if we have any new levels here. We have a weekly down here at 22, right there. We have daily as well on that weekly. To the upside, we have a daily here. We could also look for this short trade in case we get a pump to try and take it down to that level. Let me see. Yeah, this could be nice. Let me get this here. I would say 32 if we can get that nice pump back up. Let's see if this also lines up with anything else. Point of control. This is like, I really like this. So yeah, I would say if we can get a pump first, you know, to maintain these lower highs, lower highs, lower highs right here, boom, and trade it back down to here, that will still give us a nice risk to reward. Obviously the stop loss will depend on the low, sorry, on the high. We can trade this back down to 25. If this fails, you know, we can keep trading this down to, you know, maybe even $20. But first target is definitely going to be that monthly on that point of control. Especially if we don't take these lows, I'm going to be even more interested in this short trade. So I'm going to set an alert right here. I really do like this a lot. Let's see if we can get a short into long, would be quite optimal. And again, if the long fails, we still have that short trade to run for lower, right? So this is the best position to always be in. You know, maybe we trade all the way down to the value area low. So there's no need to close that trade. And then also, I believe we would have this. Yeah, look how beautiful that is. Yeah, I really, really like this. So 25 right here lining up with the 0.72 monthly point of control. Let's see if we have the anchor view, but it should be much higher indeed. So yeah, this is definitely super, super interesting for a level, and this short trade as well from 32. And again, I would really like it first if we can get that pump and then that short trade. But of course, if we first get the long trade, I'll still take it. So that's it for hype. Chinese EV stocks, XPEV, I'm not so interested. I'm already involved in NEO. XPEV is pretty much the same. Same Chinese EV, and nothing great to look at here. I mean, we are on that anchor VWAP. Yeah, actually, you know, technically speaking, if we took this low, this could be an interesting trade. But I don't think we did. Indeed, we did not. But yeah, if we get this reclaim, I would expect at least a move to $20. And then perhaps from there, actually, you could have a short trade. Could be an interesting short right there. Yeah, definitely interesting. And again, Bitcoin dumping. That was the level, unfortunately. Just check something. Okay. Yeah, honestly, fucking hell. Should have taken that short trade. Now I'm kind of pissed. I mean, you can see the clear respect on the 15, on the 5, on the 30. That was a pretty easy trade, not gonna lie. And even if it failed, you know, you had such a small invalidation here that it was worth taking. It would already be 1 to 3. But it's okay. We get opportunities every day. So I was saying XPEV was looking interesting for that short. As we were looking right here. Daily. Daily's gonna come here. Yeah, we do have a daily lining up pretty well as well. Okay, so 19 is definitely an interesting area to short. Again, keeping that market structure bearish and just looking for that pump to then go lower. Hopefully taking out this liquidity which has not been taken. And then maybe there you're gonna have that fake out to then reverse. Something like that would be nice. Thanks for the content. Sometimes I do not take the trades because I don't understand where the invalidation is, especially if I couldn't be in the live. Right, so the invalidation often depends on, let me give you an example, right? So Bitcoin, let's assume that you have an interesting level that you want to trade, such as, for example, what we had today, right? You can do this in 2 different ways. You can wait for the 30-minute candle close, and that can be your simple trigger, which is not what I usually use. And then you just put your invalidation wherever the wick is. So you don't put it randomly. You always put it above the last wick of the reaction. Or for example, you can trade this on the 5 minutes. And again, hitting into your level, candle close. 5 minutes, I would wait at least 2 candle closes. And then for example, you would have same thing, your entry, and then invalidation always above this wick. I typically like to give it a little bit more space, especially if I'm trading aggressively, just because we could, you know, just do this, take the wick once again, and then reverse. So I do like to give myself some space, but this is typically how I do my invalidations. Always above the wick after we have a reaction. So what most people do is, and I think this is what I'm guessing you're struggling with, you're probably entering the trade as soon as you hit into the level. So let's assume you're on the 1 minute. So right here, right? As soon as this level is hit, you would be the type of person to go long here, and you're like, okay, well, now I don't know where to put my invalidation because it might be above here, or here, and then you get stopped out, etc., etc. If instead you give yourself some more time, like for example, one thing you can do is on the 1 minute, just wait for, and this is very aggressive by the way, wait for market structure to change, and then you can enter here, for example, and at that point, you know exactly where your invalidation is going to be, for example, above this high, and then you can target your lower things. Of course, you're not going to get as good as a risk to reward as you would get up here, but at least you get that confidence in knowing where your invalidation is. And I hope that's clear. Okay, then we got AR. Looking terrible. No reaction whatsoever at this wick. And I would say just wait for this. Wait for the wick at 1.2. If you get that fill, I mean, as you can see, this is just absolutely just free falling. Like, I do have a feeling that sometimes you can literally just open a short, put no invalidation, and eventually within like a month, you'll be in profit. Now, this is not a strategy I would use, but I have a feeling that this would happen. Based on all of these, you could have shorted every single day at the open, right? This was the open. You could have shorted, you would have made money. Open, shorted, made money. Open, shorted, made money. Open, shorted, made money. Open here. I mean, again, if you don't put in, for example, even if you put the invalidation above the candle before and you just wait, this trade would have literally just been in profit. Same thing here. Same thing here. Even if you put the invalidation above here, this eventually would be in profit, 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 profit. Literally on almost every single token. It's actually insane. And this would have been for the last month. So you could have shorted every single day for the last month with invalidation always above the highs, above here. Then you would move it above here, above here, above here. This is just one time frame. This is what it's called. It's one time framing lower. So yeah, definitely you want to be looking for shorts on these tokens. And then again, we can wait for the wick fill as the only long trade that we have. And again, unfortunately, you don't really even get opportunities to take a short here. Because but yeah, I mean, we could be looking for some shorts. It's just very, very local. And we would have to have very wide invalidations to not get stopped out. But this would be something interesting to test. To literally just, I mean, it's not going to look good, but I think it will make money. Literally just giving yourself super wide invalidation just in case you get that pump of what? That's even too much. I would say like maximum like a 20% pump. And you just look for that wick fill type of thing, you know? Again, it's not the best, but you know, this could literally just go back to zero. And then you just have shorts printing. It's just a bit late to be shorting these. That's the thing. You should have been shorting up here or here. So yeah. My favorite car brand? Porsche, I would say. Not the RS, just a simple GT3. You know, the typical GT3, I would say. So hype we looked at. Could you give us an eye at Say? Let's look at Say. Honestly, I'm not buying a car yet because this looks terrible, by the way. I'm not buying a car yet because I don't live in a city where I need a car. But definitely once I'm thinking of moving to Dubai eventually. I think there I'll buy a GT3. I think that would be nice. But for now, unfortunately, I would never use it. And I'm not a resident in Europe, so it would just be too much of a mess. But yeah, I'm planning on buying one soon. Yeah, this is just terrible. Nothing to look at. Again, just short at this point. Any pump you get, just try to get into a short. It's just not my strategy because I'm more of a swing trader, and so I don't like locally look. So for me, for example, the short target would probably come around here. But yeah, I mean, this is just absolutely terrible. I hope none of you are buying these things in spot and just holding, hoping for reversal, because it is very likely that reversal is never gonna come. On these ones, that is. I mean, of course, you might at one point for some reason get some monster pump like this, but chances are very low. I mean, if you've been holding me the whole year, you just would never be in profit. I mean, of course, if you buy here and sell here, yes. But overall, the trend is super, super, super down. I understand nothing at all of ATAS. Your course can help a beginner. Absolutely, yes. I mean, I actually have ATAS open right here. My course covers everything from the beginning, so starting from zero. So if you're an absolute beginner and you understand absolutely nothing, the course is perfect for you. You will understand absolutely everything by the time that you finish the course. And if you're interested in that, you can contact me on Discord. Could you check for a possible short on Pippin? Bruh, Pippin. This is actually insane. I'm still super pissed. And again, Bitcoin just absolutely falling as usual. Market going up, Bitcoin falling. And that was clearly the short trade to have for today. Pippin, I am so fucking pissed because I had been waiting so patiently for this level. Literally, all the people that were trying to long here at 21 cents, I was saying, nah, nothing too short. We even had a nice reaction at one point. I think it was here at 21 cents. As you can see, it traded back up to 27. I was saying, nope, we're waiting for 15 cents. I literally gave the entry exactly on this daily level. So this was the entry I had given. If you go back in the Discord, if you go back to the lives, you will see that this exactly was the entry I had given. Even here, we had some nice pump at 17 cents, pump to 21 cents. People were saying, oh, it's reversal. Nope, still waiting for that. And then we do get overnight the tap of that daily on the 15 cents with an SFP, literally perfect on the 4 hours. And I was really considering taking a long here. But again, market was looking terrible. I didn't take that long, and I wanted to wait for a touch of the point of control, which was just below, and which was front run by literally 4%. Yeah, unfortunately, my greedy ass missed this, and from there we literally had a 206% bounce. Exactly on my entry. There is someone in my Discord who took this. His name is William. You guys can check in the profits or in the chat. He actually took this trade because he actually followed my plan, which I didn't follow myself. And even if, I genuinely, looking back, I don't understand why I wouldn't take this even with weakness, because the entry was literally right here, or even if it was up here, the invalidation compared to the upside was so small. I mean, obviously in this case, if we had it here, right, that this would have given us an amazing trade. Literally, on the close of the 4 hours, it would have given us a 1 to 42, which means I probably would have risked 1K or 500, and I would have made $20,000. Even if I entered a little bit later, probably I would have entered here on this retest, because I even sent this retest. This is what pisses me off even more. I will look to buy the retest, which happened. I still didn't buy it, and still would have given us a 1 to 14. So yeah, really a shame that I missed this. If anyone took it, good job. But yeah, I'm honestly punching myself in the face for this one. Hold ETH long or close. Liquidation price 1.3. I would say don't let it go to liquidation. Give yourself some space. If I was in the trade, in your trade, and by the way, even look at even Ethereum, right? We come up with all these trades and they just get front run by so little lately. It's actually crazy. I've never been front run so many times on so many trades. For example, Ethereum not touching my level for what? What is that? Not even 1% probably? 1%. I would have taken the short trade. I had given this short trade the other day, but nothing. And that would already give us, probably if we put in the low here, a very nice trade. Nothing. And again, for your Ethereum long, you have the potential for a couple bounces. And that would be off the retest here to look for that bounce, or the fill of this wick for a simple SFP and then bounce. And then I would say before your liquidation, the only place where I would still hold that trade if I was in your situation, which I'm not, then I would maybe wait for 1.5, but if you lose this 1.5, maybe give yourself literally space down to here, or maybe just below 1.5, and then I would close it here. Because if we lose this right here at 1.6, chances are we're gonna go for 1.4, and then potentially if we lose this, we might go back to 1K. So I would not be holding that to liquidation, personally. It depends on your entry. It depends if you're in profit. If you're holding it from 3,000, there's no proper way to say this, you're kind of fucked. But yeah, your only hope would be 1, 2, and 3. Otherwise, chances are you're going to be liquidated. In my opinion, this is not financial advice. You do whatever you want. If you want to hold it, if you want to keep adding money to put your liquidation down, you're very welcome to. How do you look at 5 minutes or 15 minutes candles in pipping, for example, when you are trying to long them? What do you mean, how do I look at them? Just like I would look at any other graph. But on pipping, I don't really look at 5 minutes or 15 minutes. I typically look at 30, 1 hour, and 4 hours. And by the way, once again, I mean, this is actually insane. Short trade, long trade, short trade. and then another long trade, well, which I didn't take, but still I called it, for literally every single low, high, and low again. And I've done this already back here. So Pippin honestly has probably been my best asset to trade, on which I even have a track record publicly posted everywhere. Anyways, yeah, pretty shit day today. Nothing interesting. Clear back test of that triangle, which I would say is now gonna dump to new lows for sure, and probably head towards 64,000, or perhaps what could save us is that 65,000 naked point control that we have right there. And yeah, I hope everything is clear, and I will see you tomorrow maybe, or in the next live stream, whether it's tomorrow or after tomorrow. But yeah, we're definitely gonna go for new lows. I'm honestly not even interested there. I would be interested at 65.8. If I get into a position, as usual, I will tell you in the Discord. So see you in the next days.